means quite a deal to be in your home, to be amongst communities, and to feel welcomed. So I really do appreciate that from the bottom of my heart. I'm honored, of course, as I'm going to say, to be invited today to take part in this historic ceremony. I'd like to thank Rabbi Karfunkel for welcoming me here today, to Steve Adler for reaching out with the invitation, and of course to Mr. Harold Erbe, his late father Julius, and their whole family for making this evening possible by keeping an 80-year-old promise. Tonight we celebrate the return of these treasures lost to Jewish people during the most terrible time in history. It seems fitting to me that we gather here as the first night of Hanukkah is just over a week away. This is a time when people and the world remember the rededication, of a holy place taken from them by their oppressors. This ceremony brings to mind that memory and also reminds us of the support and love shown by non-Jews to their neighbors even at the worst times. This center preserves history that warns us of the dangers of discrimination and hate. However, when remembering the efforts of non-Jewish firefighters that tried to save the synagogue and the actions of the Erbe family in returning what was entrusted to them so long ago, we can also be reminded of the strength that we can find in diversity and in solidarity between different groups within our country. I thank you for inviting me here this evening. My only regret is that I am unable to spend the entire time with you as duty somewhere else calls. But I would like to say to you a heartfelt Happy Hanukkah. I do not pretend to be an expert or to know each and every tradition, but as a new MPP and as someone who is proud to represent everyone in St. Paul's, regardless of ethnic, religious, or cultural background, and regardless of whether or not someone checked my name off on a ballot or not, I just want you to know that I am here to serve and to create relationships, hopefully ones that will last long after this hat of politician comes off. So thank you very, very much from my family to yours. I wish you a happy Hanukkah, happy holidays, much love, and good health in the new year. And really, this is a beautiful moment, a beautiful ceremony, and it really reminds us of the power of community and the power of remembering history. We cannot repeat certain parts of history, but we can certainly learn how to move forward better, stronger, and more whole. Thank you very, very much. That my office and I have prepared. It says, on behalf of the Ontario Legislative Assembly, I am pleased to extend my warmest compliments to the Forest Hill Jewish Center. Communities like yours are a vital part of the religious and cultural diversity that is a unique strength of Toronto. I see and appreciate your work as community builders. You inspire us all. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for the beautiful remarks. It's very heartfelt. I appreciate your coming.
Thank you.
Okay, Rabbi Elie, Yivki, our honored guests, your Erbe family, to our Forest Hill family. I think most of you know who I am, but in case you don't, I'm Yakov Kaplan. What's the big deal? There is no big deal. But I think I have one claim to fame. I'm the longest standing member of the Fourth The distinct merit of introducing the second longest member of the Fourth Jewish Center to sing for us, my virtuoso cantor friend, Tzvi Katzman.
Please rise and don't be shy to sit along. Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love, in all our sons command, with glowing hearts we see the rise, the true north strong and free. From far and wide, oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Gotta keep our land glorious and free. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh Lord, Malay of Enima, Nefesh Yehudi Omiyah, Ulefateh Mizach Kadima, Ayin Lezion Sophia, Olada Hatikvah Zeinu, Hatikvah Bashnot Habayim, Liot Amchoshi Be'aseinu, Eretz Zion Yerushalayim, Liot Amchoshi Be'aseinu, Eretz Zion Yerushalayim.
So thank you all for coming. It's so special for Julie and I to be involved in this wonderful place called the Forrestal Jewish Center. Tonight is a special night about gratitude, friendship, and giving, but to me, the night's about inspiration. This truly amazing gesture of the Erbes to donate these remarkable treasures, really, to our community, candlesticks that once belonged to a Jewish woman who lived in Yazlam and perished in the Holocaust. It's our hope to cherish them and use them with the thoughtfulness, love, and compassion which they were given. And to us who know their history, their flame will shine and give off such a special, unique light, truly an inspiration. And since our inception in the Forrestal Jewish Center 20 years ago, very fitting because I'm sure the rabbi would agree. We've looked at our mission here to try and spread the inspiration and light of our tradition to the Forestville community. As most of you know, this building is a replica of a synagogue that stood in Yazlo and was destroyed by the Nazis on Yom Kippur in 1939. So hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands, of places of worship were burnt to the ground, and many of them would have been fitting to replicate. We chose Yazlo. Why? No one in the congregation had any connection. None of us had ever been there or heard of it. But we chose Yazlo because to us, Yazlo represented the unknown, the forgotten, and the places and the people that were too few or small in number to be mentioned in the history books. Did we imagine? Did anybody? My wife thought I'm so emotional. I cry at hockey games. But this is something to be emotional about. Did anyone imagine that more than 70 years ago, a treasure would be given charge to a prominent non-Jewish neighbor, Julius, your father, candlesticks symbolizing the spreading of light, which ultimately would be an affirmation, a sign to all of us that in Yazlo we made the right choice. In terms of the Holocaust memorial, what could be more fitting? This thriving Forestville Jewish Center is a symbol of how our community has grown, flourished, and shined. The Erbes have inspired us all. Tonight we say thank you, and we're forever grateful. I think the man in this room who needs no introduction are more to ask for Rabbi.
So to my dear parents, thank you so much for coming all the way from New York to be a part of this special evening. To my dear in-laws, we thank our MPP for coming and gracing us with their presence. To the Latners, on such a historic night, to have it as your mom's yard site is divine. To my dear friend Yakov, who's the heart and a backbone of the Albert and Tammy Latner Forestville Jewish Center. To my dear friend Jody Katz, who made downstairs and upstairs and God willing the Shabbos so ridiculously beautiful. Thank you so much. Is she even in the room? No. There she is. Thank you. To all of you, and Rivki and I would like to give Achron, saving our special honorees to Harold and to Faye. Harold and Faye, you represent yourself and you represent your dad. And we're so honored that you're here. When you called me several months ago about these candlesticks, it was a very confusing conversation on my end. I thought you were selling me a timeshare. I don't know how you felt on your end, but on my end I was very confused. Candlesticks, years, very confusing. And what I do remember you said is that candlesticks, Yazlo, custodian, I'm sending it to you. Like most conversations I had, and like most meaningful conversations, as soon as I hung up, I forgot that we spoke. I go back to my life, and a couple of days later or weeks later, I don't even know, there is a package in my house. Of course, if there's a package in my house, it's an Amazon package. And it is for one of my kids, something, and I ignore it. I ignore it. So finally, like 5 or 6 days go by, and I look, and there's no Amazon symbol on it. And there's lots of tape around it. What could this be? I open it up, and there they are. The most beautiful, tarnished candlesticks I'd ever seen. And then it dawns on me, oh my gosh, I gotta call this guy back. I pull you back, and we speak about this amazing story, how your dad was given these candlesticks probably 80 years ago, in the fall of 1939. And how your dad was a real mensch, you told me. And I said, Harold, I'm a little bit confused. I think that's like a Jewish word. He says, my dad spoke Yiddish. He says, but Rabbi, he was not Jewish, but he had many Jewish friends. And you told me a little about your father's story. Your father was not only the custodian of these candlesticks, but literally, when going from country to country to start his new life, with basically the shirt on his back, he took the candlesticks with him to finally give it back to this lady, knowing full well that this lady did not return. Your father, during the Holocaust, pointed a finger at the Gestapo and told them, you hire my Jewish workers. No one will be fed in this town unless my Jews work for me. They are not making a movie out of your father, but they should. When we finally said, it's time for you to come to Toronto, you told me, Rabbi, this whole God thing, I don't believe, whatever. I finally said, Hal, you gotta come. So he said, okay, Faye and I will come. I said, okay, December 12th. And you say, Rabbi, it's Basher. I'm thinking, okay. A lot of people might know what mensch is, but Basher, that's like a serious Jewish word. Basher means God designs it. I said, Hal, I got two questions for you. First of all, you told me you don't believe, and then you tell me it's Basher. And second of all, how can you say you're coming to Toronto on December 12th without asking your wife? This is Rabbi, December 12th is my parents' anniversary. Tonight, your parents are in the room. We had the great honor of having the National, Ellen Morrow, speak to us this afternoon, and I think she pulled from you what I pulled a little bit from you when we had dinner just before. But this night is a night of saying thank you. The candlesticks are lit again. When this lady gave her candlesticks to your dad, she can never have dreamed that one day the candlesticks will be relit, and they are. You know, when you look at candles, you can look at them one of two ways. Yes, they burn, and they add warmth. And our responsibility in this world of so much darkness is to see the candle that burns and to say, no, our candle is a candle that warms. When fire can be so destructive, we see fire as an opportunity to repair a broken world. You know, I've been to Yazlow twice. I've met the mayor of Yazlow. We had vodka together in his office. I don't know if that's allowed in Ontario, but in Poland, it's an obligation. And I looked into his eyes. And in his eyes, I saw the eyes of 25,000 righteous Gentiles. My friends, for Yad Vashem, in order to be a righteous Gentile, you need to save the life of a Jew without profit. Or to my knowledge, Oscar Schindler made it in because he was an amazing man, but he's not the rule, he's the exception. 99% of the people that are righteous Gentiles made it into Yad Vashem because they risked their life to save Jews without any profit. I'm reminded when I was in Yazlow the first time with my dear friend Alan Freeman, and we went to the forest in Markova. Markova is the place where Joseph and Victoria Oma decided to hide 4 Jews. When the Nazis caught them, they murdered their children, their 6 precious children, one by one, and then they murdered the parents. A couple of nights later, when the family was dug up by local neighbors to give them a proper burial, they realized that it was 2 months away from their 7th child. I choose to look at that. The great Lubavitcher Rebbe said, in a hall of perfect darkness, if you light one small candle, its light will be seen from afar. Its precious light will be seen by everyone. Yes, there's a lot of evil in the world and we can't be naive. But if we choose to focus on that, the world will get nowhere. If we choose to focus on fostering a light that warms, so then I think we can make a difference in this world. You know, goodness is all over this evening. Your dad was a precious custodian. People are sacrificed for good like the Oma families. We need to see the good. You know, there was a Jew that survived the Holocaust. And Rabbi Eliezer Silver, a great Jew from Cincinnati, with his U.S. Army fatigues, went into many camps to give strength and spirit to the survivors. In Mauthausen, on one day, he tried to gather a minyan. And he asked a Yid, a Jew, he said, come, take a siddur, pray with us. And the man said, I will not pray with you. The next night, come, pray with us, my fellow Jew. We've survived, thank God. I will not pray with you. I'm not taking a siddur or prayer book. Leave me alone, Rabbi. So on the 3rd night, finally, Rabbi Silver says, what's your deal? Don't come and pray with us. But to make a whole scene and yell at me? It's like, relax. He said, Rabbi, you don't understand. In my barrack, there was a Jew that snuck in a prayer book. And every day, people would come over to him and say, can I borrow the prayer book? And he would say, on condition you give me breakfast. And every day in the Holocaust, I saw this man using his prayer book to take breakfast, to take 150 calories from my starving friends. If that's what Judaism is about, if that's what the prayer book is about, I don't want anything to do with it, Rabbi. Rabbi Silver says, my dear friend, you have a choice. You have a choice to see the good. You have a choice to see the bad. Yes, you can focus on that man that rented out the prayer book. But why don't you focus on all your friends in the barrack that were willing to give up their breakfast just to borrow a prayer book? That's the humanity that you should focus on. The next day, Rabbi Silver didn't have to ask him if he wants to pray. He said, Rabbi Silver, get me that prayer book. And that's how we know who Simon Wiesenthal is. My friends, there are so many lessons to learn. I'd just like to end with one last lesson. There was a great rabbi in Jerusalem who passed away, severe Parkinson's. And Howard Schultz, the president of the... Okay, all right. Good. Welcome to the serious evening. Howard Schultz, the owner and founder of Starbucks, with all the Seattle Federation Jews, go into a room with Rabbi Nosson C. Finkel, the great rabbi of Jerusalem, severe Parkinson's. They can't even look at him because he's shaking. Everyone doesn't know what to say. He can hardly talk. And 6 machers are sitting around the table. And he bangs and he says, gentlemen, why did the Holocaust happen? Of course, everyone says, don't call on me. It's like in grade 6, don't call on me, don't call on me, don't call on me. He says, why did the Holocaust happen? Everyone is looking down. He's savage. Thank God the rabbi didn't call on me. So the first guy says, never again. The rabbi goes, wrong! And then he goes to the guy sitting next to Schultz. He says, why did the Holocaust happen? He says, we shouldn't stand by anymore. We should fight. And the rabbi said, wrong! And here's what the rabbi said. He said, the rabbi said, you guys just don't get it. Okay, gentlemen, let me tell you the essence of the human spirit. As you know, during the Holocaust, the people were transported in the worst possible inhumane ways by rail car. They thought they were going to a work camp. We all know they were all going to a death camp. After hours and hours in this inhumane corral with no light, no bathroom, cold, they arrived at the camps. The doors were swung wide open, and they were blinded by the light. Men were separated from women, mothers from daughters, fathers from sons. They went off to the bunkers to sleep. As they went into the area to sleep, only one person was given a blanket for every 6. The person who received the blanket, when he went to bed, he had to decide, am I going to push the blanket to the 5 other people who do not get one? Or am I going to pull it toward myself and stay warm? And Rabbi Finkel says, it was during this defining moment that we learned the power of the human spirit, because we pushed the blanket to the 5 others. And with that, he stood up and said, take your blanket, take it back to America, and push it to 5 other people. With all of the destruction in the Holocaust, we have to remember that the Jewish people not only survived, but the Jewish people thrived. And to make their lives meaningful, the lives of that one precious Jew that owned these candlesticks, the lives of all the Jews of Yazleo, the lives of 6 million, we have to realize it's our responsibility to bring warmth to the world and to make a difference. This evening is about divine providence. It's about warmth. It's about God-loving good people. Hashem, God Almighty, you love good people. It is our prayer that this lady that's looking down, how every Friday night she lit these candles, as every mother lights their candles Friday night. They do the hand movement, they make the blessing, and they make a prayer for their children. That my 6th grader should pass the science test. That my high school kid, he should be a little less awkward. That my university kid should make it and get a job. That my son, he should find a wife. That my daughter, she should have a healthy child. Blessings and blessings and blessings. My dear precious owner of these candlesticks, our prayer is that all the blessings that you had for your children come true to all of us here at the Forest Hill Jewish Center. May we see tonight as a night of an amazing opportunity. A night where really Harold and Faye have decided, after 80 years, to take this journey with us. You said before, Harold, we wanted to put the candlesticks in the right spot. So I promise you, we made the right choice. Thank you everyone for coming. It is a great honor now to call up my newest BFF, Harold, to just say a couple of words.
Well, that's very emotional. I don't know where to start. Anyways, thank you very much for coming here tonight, everybody, and thank you, Rabbi Karfunkel. That was an amazing speech. Thank you so much. And thank the Honorable Elie for attending tonight's service here, and for the CBC to take the time out and to try to capture this memorable occasion. My father would have been amazingly proud. I'm very speechless right now. It's just so moving, it's so touching. And my father would be very proud to think that all the way from Jasło, Poland, in the southeast corner of Poland, they made their way all the way to the end of the earth, which is really Vancouver. We certainly go to, they can't go much further than that, and then come back to this wonderful, beautiful synagogue. It's so, when I saw it, I was just so moved by it. He would be so honored, so proud that these candlesticks arrived in such a wonderful place. and that they would be so well treasured and looked after. And you know, when you think about it, they're here in Canada, they're in Toronto, the place with diverse cultures. And my wife and I drove around the city. We haven't been here for 30 years, and it's so rich in culture and heritage, and it's a vibrant community. And you know, Toronto makes things happen. And this is a terrific opportunity for these candles to finally arrive here at a destination that I think he's looking up above and says, hey, listen, these were the right home for these after coming from Oslo and all the things that they went through. And I thank you so much, Rabbi Karfunkel and his team, for organizing this really special occasion. And thank you from the bottom of my heart. My father thanks you. If he could, I know he's looking out at these things right now. And thank you, thank you.
Tzvi, if you can help me say and how they have a gift for you. Some knives, Ginzu knives. You can take them up, open them up, and present it to them. And read it.
This is the building that we're standing in. It's actually a charity box.
Only to our synagogue.
So the bottom reads, before we added the name, originally it was the Temi Latner Forest Hill Jewish Center. Currently it's the Albert and Temi Latner Forest Hill Jewish Center. There's a plaque at the top that says, "In gratitude of your kindness, December 12th, 2019.
We have a menorah. So the menorah represents, as we said, the warmth. It's our holiday in December, something very special. And you know, you gave us these candles, and we said, you know what, have our menorah for Hanukkah, and think of us always, because we'll be thinking of you all the time. So thank you so much. And now, we've been blessed to light these candles at around 4 or 5 brisses. You know what a bris is? It's a circumcision. You're okay? I didn't tell you about the wrap-up party here. But it's a very emotional time, and we ask the grandmothers of the boy to light at bat mitzvahs that come into Shabbos. In fact, where's Irina? Irina, my dear friend, was the first one to light these candles after 80 years for her daughter's bat mitzvah. So it's something very special. So I'm going to trade places with you, and then we're going to light one, and you light the other, and it'll be really special. Okay. My dear friend Tzvi, take it away.
Olam kulo geshet zameod, geshet zameod, geshet zameod. Olam kulo geshet zameod, geshet zameod. very narrow bridge, a very narrow bridge. Oh, the world is a very narrow bridge, a very narrow bridge. And the main thing is to recall, to have no fear, to have no fear at all. And the main thing is to recall, to have no fear at all.
Harold told me that his favorite movie was Fiddler on the Roof. So, if you want to just take a sip, Harold and Faye. So, it's a little bit atypical for services to end off with a shot, but why not? Yes. You know what? Let's start a trend. But if you're interested, basically we say l'chaim to life. And thank God we have to just appreciate it that we have life. And when we have life, we have opportunities and chances to do good. And on behalf of everyone here, where we're still passing around l'chaim. If you can get my mother to take a l'chaim, that would be amazing. Mom, come on, Mom.
I'm driving.
Thank you, Ken.
Passing it around, okay.
Jody, go share.
On behalf of everyone,
Thank you.
Jody, you want us to take
say
this out?
you, only get grace and joy on your side. Stay healthy and amazing. Come back and join us. And we only wish you the best. And to you and to everyone here, as one word, my friends.
There's more.
You know what? I think I didn't say something correctly. Can I get one more shot? Anyways, everyone, please stay schmooze. Thank you so much for coming. I don't think we'll ever, any of us, be at a candlestick reunion ceremony ever again. So enjoy this moment. Thank you so much for coming. Oh, did I fail to mention that this Shabbos, we're having Harold and Faye back for our mega Shabbos, and hopefully, if we inspired you tonight, we hope to inspire you on Shabbat as well. Everyone, please stay in schmooze.